Hello, my name is Dan, and this is the Diabetes Army Rebuilt podcast. And I'm so happy you could be with us last week on this podcast. And let me give you a little background on myself. I'm a former type 2 diabetic, gained 150 pounds on insulin, put it in remission. I'm completely off of insulin now. I have the Unity Wellness Group that we help people steer towards getting off of meds and work towards getting from the type 2 state down into pre-diabetes and things like this. So this is my weekly podcast. Last week we talked about the difference between weight resistance training and cardio. And I pulled some studies to see which one seemed to work better for insulin resistance and with type 2 diabetes. Now, don't get me wrong, both are excellent and fantastic, but there's that age-old argument of what's better, lifting weights or doing cardio. So I heard from a lot of you about how you don't want to give up your cardio, so we went a step further and I went deeper this week to take a look at this and dig into different variations of cardio that we can be doing. Now, by cardio, what I'm talking about here is 30 minutes on a treadmill. So I pulled a study, and let's see what the science tells us when it comes to treadmill walking, because I walk a lot. My routine is basically I lift weights, I do a different body part every day, I lift weights 5 days a week, I do cardio on a treadmill 5 days a week, all right? And I'll get to what I really do with cardio a little bit later and how I got to where I'm at with my cardio and see if it helps you. I'm down about 140 pounds, actually probably a little bit more at this point, and I'm on my journey to continue on. My goal this year was to drop 40. I lost 125 during the pandemic. So, you know, I've been around a few blocks. I spent 12 years on the pro wrestling tour. I was a guy who was in gyms his whole life. And then finally, it got down to I just needed to figure out where I was really at with my type 2 diabetes. Woke up one day, 400 and something pounds. If that doesn't get your attention, nothing will. So let's talk about this study. So this study is on high intensity interval training versus moderate intensity continuous training in middle-aged and older patients with type 2 diabetes. So it's a randomized control crossover trial of acute effects of treadmill walking on glycemic control. Now, this study was done by Romeo Mendez et al., Nelson Sosa, and a number of other people. And what it did is they took a look at people that were on metformin that were 60 years of age, give or take 3 years, right? They had an A1C of 7.03 on the average. So that's the baseline for what they started with when it came to this. So here's how it went. So for the people the three underwent different conditions of treadmill walking. I like treadmill walking because it's easier on my joints. There's a bit of bounce. So the first one did HIIT sessions. We've all heard the word HIIT. That's that high intensity training, right? So this consisted of 5 times 3 minutes at 70% of your heart rate, and then 3 minutes at 30% of your heart rate. So they varied it up in between to see what the repercussions were when it came to type 2 diabetes. The next one was 30 minutes at 50% of your heart rate. So 50% of your heart rate, in other words, slow and steady for 30 minutes, right? And they wanted to really see how that would affect the type 2 diabetes. And again, all these people were on metformin with about a 7 A1C rating, right? Okay, so then the last one was just basic walking, period. So you've got different levels of intensity on this. So what did the trial tell us? Results, both HIIT and MICT, so that's medium intensity on the treadmill, sessions reduced blood glucose levels during exercise and laboratory 50-minute recovery. So to repeat, reduced blood sugar levels, right, during the exercise and 50 minutes after. So that's almost an hour after, right? The HIIT was slightly greater than the 50% range it was 0.017. So there's a slight advantage to the HIIT. and they took a look at this, and there you have the answers. So I'm actually going to change how I'm doing this on my workouts. I always do, it takes me about 30, 40 minutes to do my workout with weights, and then I do 30 minutes of walking on the treadmill. Now, often I like to live stream on the treadmill. Up here in Canada, I train at a gym through the week that I can't do that. The music's too loud. However, on the weekends, I do training at a different gym. It's mostly cardio, and I use the sauna there to get my sauna protocol, which we can discuss on another episode. However, what I find is at home, I'm always doing the live streams on my 30-minute walks. However, now moving forward, I'm going to start doing where I'm adding some intensity 3 minutes at a time on my walk. That could be raising up the treadmill, it could be speeding up the treadmill to get my heartbeat up. I'm going to start doing this and doing the interval training like this. Now, when I first started my health comeback, I was able to walk 5 minutes on the treadmill. That was it. I could literally walk 5 minutes on a treadmill. The next week, I think I did 6, or 2 weeks later, I did 6. Then I got up to 8. Then I got to 9. I made that giant leap to 10 minutes. I was finally able to do 10 minutes on a treadmill. You don't know how hard that was at 400 and something pounds to do that. My lower back hurt. It's all I had. I didn't care. I wasn't embarrassed. It was just, look, it's just part of my recovery process. So then eventually I got up to where I could go on a treadmill, no problem. I started jogging. And sometimes I'll jog 30 minutes on a treadmill. Slow jog, admittedly. However, I still keep going. My heartbeat keeps coming up and things like that. So when I started deciding I wanted to jog on a treadmill, what I did was, in the first 5 minutes, I'd run 1 minute. That was it. Just 1 minute. Then I'd walk another 4 minutes. Then I'd jog another minute, walk 4, jog. You get the idea. Then I did walk 8 minutes, jog 2 minutes. And it was hard because at a minute and a half, that's when I really noticed it kicking in. And I went that path. And then I started doing it, say, like every 7 minutes, jog for 2 minutes. So the same sort of a process, except I was jogging versus the walking fast. And I got to tell you, and that's how I started growing my running capability. Finally, I would get to the point where, I'd walk for the first 10 minutes, I'd jog for the next 10, and then I'd walk in a cool down for 10 minutes. And just I would vary it up to keep it interesting. So that's what I did. And I think I'm going to go back and start doing things like that now, especially after seeing the results of this test. Again, controlled study, people all on metformin, about 7.03 for an A1C. So the results are there. This is science telling us this stuff works. As we look to live longer, healthier, and happier, we have to start looking at the science and the modern science. I talk a lot about doctors. If you've got a doctor who's stuck on the old food pyramid in 1974, you need to just casually get your stuff, put it in your pocket, and just ask where the bathroom is and exit stage left. Get out of there. Get with a doctor who's dialed in, knows what's happening, or at least treat yourself to a second opinion. I know a lot of doctors are not going to like me for saying that, but it's the truth. You've got to be with the very best medical people you can be with, and they've got to be dialed in on the latest science. And that's what we're doing here. We're taking a look at science with type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. I hope you're enjoying this series. Please share it with anyone who you think might need the help. You can follow me on Instagram. I post a lot on Instagram. On TikTok, I do a lot of live streaming when I'm on the treadmill. So if you're over on my TikTok channel, if you follow me on either one of those, you'll be notified when I do live stream, and that's what it is. So I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're enjoying this series. I plan to do a lot more, but let's talk about the science of type 2 diabetes. Let's talk about getting people healthier. Let's talk about spreading some positive awareness of type 2 diabetes and helping folks out, right? Let's be good human beings. This is what it really boils down to. I appreciate you for watching this. Again, many more. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, you can always DM me on one of my social platforms. I answer everybody back. And let's literally get at it. And lastly, let's make reversing type 2 diabetes cool. Thanks again. You're awesome. And I hope I'm not the first one to tell you that today.